Good evening, all, and welcome to Practically Tactical. This is our live show streaming to you on YouTube, but you can also catch all of our shows on iTunes in a podcast format. New episodes drop every Sunday at noon Central Standard Time. Be sure to put your questions in the chat or the Google Q&A app, as we will be answering questions live during the show. I know Steve loves to answer questions. It's probably his favorite thing to do. So put those in, and we'll be sure to answer those during our dedicated Q&A segment. Also, please be sure to click that like and share button as it helps spread the video on YouTube. A couple pre-podcast show announcements. Today is Monday, July 14th. We will be recording a show Wednesday, July 16th with Mike Lamb from Stoic Ventures. And for those that don't know, Steve, he's just terrible, right? Just the worst.
Horrible. God, terrible.
But guys, on tonight's show we have Steve Fisher from Sentinel Concepts. So let's start the show. Welcome to Practically Tactical, episode 37, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. The Practically Tactical show features a roundtable discussion about guns, gear, and shooting. For more information on the show, links to our guests, guns, and gear we discuss, please visit practacpodcast.com/037. I'll tell you what, you guys are in for a treat on tonight's show, not only because of his beard, but because he's just an awesome, awesome dude. We have Steve Fisher from Sentinel Concepts. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is going to be an epic show. But before we get started here, if people are looking for more information, looking to find your classes, where can they go online to find out more info on that?
Of course, on the web at sentinelconcepts.com. Then on Facebook, same thing, Sentinel Concepts.
Okay. And Sentinel_Concepts, spelled a little differently on Instagram. Be sure to check out his Instagram as well. I'll put a link in the show notes. So let's move on to our main segment here of the show, talking with Steve here. So, Steve, what's kind of your background history? You know, who are you? Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Michigan boy, born and raised. Spent a little time out of state. Just grew up in a big hunting outdoor family, a shooting family, and it just kind of naturally progressed from there. Did about 15 years with a local sheriff's office. From that point on, I had a training company that I started in 2000. Just previously to that, I had worked with another training company based out of Michigan, and I progressed out on my own, ran that company pretty successfully for a few years, and then late 2009, got picked up by Magpul.
Do they have more money than God?
Magpul is an awesome machine. They absolutely incredible place to work, great people to work with. It was probably one of the best experiences of my life, no doubt about it.
But they have more money than God then, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just going to tell you they do.
Because at NRA show, they had that bus with the Thompsons, and I'm sure more liquor, the value of that liquor in that bus was probably more than my house. I was like, these guys just must have, like, I just imagine like they have a big building that has their Magpul logo and it's just filled with cash, and like the people that run Magpul just like swim around in cash. I was gonna try to confirm that with you.
I will never confirm that at all. I'm under sworn to such secrecy, like even the NSA couldn't figure this out, even though they're listening right now.
But you're not denying it. That's what we needed to know.
Never.
So obviously you're well known. You're with Magpul, and then Magpul Dynamics. Your DVDs, obviously training around the country, and then you started up your own company this year, right?
Yes. Yep. Right after SHOT Show.
And Sentinel Concepts. So is there kind of just a reason why you started your own company, or were you just kind of wanting to go on your own and do some stuff, kind of go back home, stop traveling?
It was kind of one of those things. It was just time. We ran a blistering pace at Magpul, obviously. For years, I mean, we were, on the road constantly, which is nothing wrong with it. It was a great time, but, there comes a point in time where it's like, hey, I've got to do some more things of my own, get some more downtime, the house, family, just life in general. And it was a very hard decision. It really was. It's some great people there. Still have a lot of good friends there, and we're still in contact and touch with each other. And it's a great company, man. It really was, and it was a very hard decision to make.
So, what can you kind of tell us? What's your training philosophy at Sentinel Concepts? What do you have, like a base kind of foundation, or a motto, or kind of a way you do things? You can say, here's my philosophy, and here's how I do things.
I try to give people the things that they need to learn. And it's more of, people come to class, they have this, I guess, kind of a thought in their head of what they're going to be getting into, what they're going in for, and a lot of people use it as practice. But unfortunately, it's really not what it is. You're coming to a class to actually learn, and what you're learning is how to practice on your own time and to get better at it. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's to give students the lessons and the practice and the practicality of what they actually need to go and do on their own time, when they're not actually paying for a class and when they're out on the range with their friends or family, and give them the diagnostics and the ability to correct themselves and or their friends that they may be helping out while shooting.
No, that was kind of the one things of, kind of preparing for you on the show. I was reading a bunch of after action reports, and like one guy was like, I really thought that, it was the gun or blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, you actually, he was holding the gun and you pressed the trigger and put the shot right on target. And he's like, that was kind of like my waking moment to where, what, it's not guns or gear and, all this stuff that we really focus on. And it's really those basic fundamentals. And that's what he thought. He kind of walked away a lot of your classes was, sight picture, front post, and, kind of being hammered on that too. Are you kind of trying to maybe push, a lot of students, not necessarily away from gear, but, hey, get away from that, stop putting all your money into there and getting focused on shooting?
That's usually the biggest thing, and I coined it as tactical fantasy band camp. A lot of dudes, I swear, and you can believe it, a lot of dudes will spend more money on gear and kit, and you look at it and you go, okay, so what do you do for a living? Well, I work for this XYZ company in a cube all day, and I do this, which is awesome. Everybody has to have a job, pays my bills, obviously. But when they come into class, I want them to focus on the fundamentals, because really that's all there is sights and triggers. You can do all kinds of cheetah, Honda roll, ninja flip stuff in class and have a great time and a great experience, but what did you learn? What did you learn practicality-wise? What did you actually accomplish? And I want guys to focus on the gun and getting the results out of it that they need. So it's nothing but sights and triggers and fundamentals. That's the only thing there is when it comes down to that time to pull that pistol outside of some techniques or tactics. But the bottom end result is still the sights and the trigger. Okay.
So what all classes are you offering with Sentinel Concepts?
We've got a variety, from baseline, essential handgun employment to a critical handgun employment, which is more of the, like a step two program of giving guys those next levels of shooting and training and techniques, pushing them a little bit harder, a little bit faster, but it still results in sights and triggers. We do have myself, and I have a contract employee with me, Will Petty, who's a law officer out of the state of Texas, who's a great dude. We offer a lot of vehicle concept classes that are based around programs that were developed for TTPOA. And on top of that, then we have some low-light, just pretty much the standard gamut, but we've got low-light carbine, low-light handgun, shotgun, but they're all formatted practically more than anything else. So.
Okay. And you're based out of Michigan, correct?
Correct.
And then you travel around, or are you mainly solely based out of Michigan? So if somebody wants to take a class, can they try to catch you traveling, or do they need to come to Michigan?
Travel schedule is pretty much where we're at right now. It's generally Ohio, Virginia, West Coast stuff, Texas, Louisiana. So we've got a lot of states that we travel to, like any other trainer in the industry for the most part.
Okay. Because it sounds like the states you just named off there are known for good food. So I was just curious if there's any correlation there. Or...
I'll let you do the math on that one. Let's do the math, dude. There's nothing like cooking in Louisiana. I'll tell you what, I've got some friends down there, the Wong family, and they're actually competition shooters for JP 3-gun, and they literally are the best cooks and hosts in the world. They set the standard, no doubt about it.
Well, let's move on to some training, because I had one question that stuck out in a couple of AARs that I read was, first drill, 25 yards cold. Can you tell me why that is first, and then after that, what's the important part of that drill?
It's a baseline exercise. You can get away with any type of trigger and sight error between 0 to 10 yards and still keep shots inside of an 8-inch circle. I mean, you go to a class, especially a pistol class, and most classes live in that world of 0 to 10 yards. Because, well, that's a standard engagement sequence that people get into in conflicts. It's up close and personal. We get that. We get the stats on that. That's not where we live, though. Realistically, when we look at the environmental conditions that we live in or we work in or we play in, you have these areas that are vast. I mean, when you think about it, like, and I'll use the analogy in classes, what is the average length of a grocery store aisle? 27 yards is about the average that I've come up with.
Yeah.
Some other places, restaurants, from where you're seated with your family or yourself and some buddies to the front door, 18 to 20 yards. People get a false sense of security living inside that 5 to 7 to 10 yard world. And yet we understand statistics tell us this is where bad things are going to happen, because for bad guys to get what they want, they got to get close to us. We get that. But the 25-yard drill really highlights weaknesses in people's own practice or training programs that they've been to or may not have. And, they go to the range, they put up a target at 7 yards, 5 yards, they pull out their latest, greatest Wonder Blaster 6,000 gun, and, they proceed to shoot 200-300 rounds in there, and it's this big elongated hole. They pat themselves in the back, and they walk off the range feeling good. All they're doing is giving themselves false security. So the 25-yard, 10-round hit basically is a baseline exercise that I can use for graded improvement of students over the period of 2-3 days. We will revisit it constantly during the class. So, but that's exactly what it is. It is a baseline for fundamentals and proficiency.
Okay. So I guess, and I guess that kind of goes back to is focus on the fundamentals then. So if you don't have that trigger control, that sight alignment, sight picture, kind of what we talked about just a second ago, is this really all comes out to show then, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So something that I kind of picked up on one of the videos is you talked about setting up a gun for success. Can you talk about the little bit of, I'm sure you get the question all the time, hey, what gun should I concealed carry with? Or, should I get this trigger, or should I get this or that done? Can you talk about what setting up a gun for success is, and then give some recommendations on that?
It really comes back to a personal preference. Like a lot of people, variety of guns, body types, sizes, every gun is going to be different for everyone. For me, what I look is usable set of sights, the ability to have a white light on the gun, especially for my concealed carry guns. Then we get into long guns. We start looking at optics, lights, slings, lasers. It can run a full gamut. But if we're talking strictly, for a carry gun, I look for a good usable trigger, good usable high visibility sights, and that's pretty much about it.
Now that's great lead in there, because you actually offer a 1911 class that I saw.
Yes.
And you rock a badass 1911. There's not another way to say it. And usually, we talk to. I don't think I've ever had any firearms instructor come on and be like, 1911, great gun. Talk about the 1911, because again, I haven't heard any firearms instructors come on and say, 1911, great gun.
1911 is a great gun if you're willing to take the time and understand it, and its little kind of nuances to the gun, I should say. The gun's been around for how many years? 100+ years. It's been killing people longer than anything else. It is a great gun. It has the best ergonomics out of any handgun I've ever shot. It's practical. They work if you have a good one, or it's been worked on by a good gunsmith. And if you're willing to take the time to learn to maintain it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Guys get all crazy about, and I was one of them for years when the striker fired craze was on and still is. That I don't need a 1911. It's a one gunfight gun. It's it doesn't hold enough ammunition. And then I started to revisit those thoughts, going, you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it if you get a good, true 1911 that works well. And there are, truthfully, a lot of hack gunsmiths out there that don't know how to make them run, or to get them to run better. The pistols I run are strictly from Nighthawk. I've been running their guns for probably 5 years. And they are some of the best handguns, pistol-wise, that I've ever shot. And yeah, I have 2 that are set up really, really well. One is a single-stack 9mm with an RMR on it that was done by ATEI in Trujillo. And the other one is a double-stack 2011 series frame, the GRP Flex that Nighthawk doesn't make anymore, but it's one of the ones that I've had. And I decided, well, what a better gun to chop up and put another RMR on than that. That's both worlds. I got 21 rounds in the gun and a red dot. What else do I need?
I officially ran a red dot on a handgun for the first time, I think 2 weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, man, I just did not anything crazy, but just a little like there was like a 6 box drill and 6 box drill, and I just went as fast as I could to try to accurately shoot, 1 round in each box. There was like I think a 2-inch box. And I'll tell you what, I ran through it far faster than I ever would have thought, with a heck of a lot of ease. And I'll tell you what, I may be, I don't know if I'm able to afford one anytime soon, but it was really nice. It just makes, for me anyways, and maybe you can give me some tips here, is the only issues I had was when I was bringing it up is my eyes, because probably I'm used to it. We're going to those front, look, where's my front post? Going back to those iron sights instead of necessarily the red dot. Is that something that a person switching to that type of optic needs to adjust to, or what's kind of like the learning curve on a red dot handgun?
The actual learning curve really is to just flatten out the presentation on the draw stroke. It's kind of like the same principle with a carbine. Find a threat, identify it, focus on it, drive the gun to where your eyes are looking. The dot will be there as long as you've got a good, flat, true presentation of the gun where it needs to be. And the beauty of it is you only have one focal point. That's that dot superimposed over that, that threat or that person or that target or whatever it is you're looking at. They're great for people with aging eyes. With myself getting older, it's a big help, as well as off-access positions. You find yourself compromised on the ground, whatever it may be. You have not only that window, which acts as a big ghost ring sight at some point in time, but you have that dot, and that dot does make a difference. Plus, they're really good under night vision devices.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, let's talk about low light, because you obviously offer some low light training. Some we've kind of hit on the show before, but and obviously you talk about law enforcement background, where I think a lot of training maybe for low light comes from that. But how does the game change in low light or no light scenarios? Why we're starting to see like a lot of training and all sorts of flashlights with a billion lumens that are coming out now. But what changes in the game in a low light scenario, whether that be civilian or law enforcement?
It's dark. That's the primary thing. It's dark, but the thing is, not enough people do it or get a chance to train in it or practice with it. And there was a saying by a very wise old dead philosopher, can't even think of his name right now, but basically what was said was, the night brings our troubles to light. And for those that don't practice in the dark or practice in low light scenarios, it can be kind of intimidating, or just kind of, what's really what I'm looking for, kind of boggling to them at first. Certain ways to manipulate the lights, how many lumens, do I need night sights, do I need a laser? So all those things get kind of answered, and there's really no direct answer to that, because every individual has a different set of principles that they need to follow, if that makes sense. So be it for the average Joe, citizen carrying a gun and versus a SWAT officer or a military guy, there are different rules of engagements and purposes and ways to employ lights or not to employ those lights that they have to follow. So it's a very broad spectrum.
No, that's something that, obviously being a concealed carry guy, it's something that I don't think, and it's probably bad to say, but at least I'm being honest, is I've never had the opportunity to train in low light. I mean, I carry a flashlight, not a fancy one, but a cheap one, but at least it's a light, because things are more useful than you'll ever imagine. But I've never had the opportunity to train in low light, or, I'm assuming, if you haven't taken low light, I'm assuming some main issues that people should expect is manipulating a firearm and a light, identifying threats, and I guess how to use the light in regards to defending yourself.
Yeah, the thing is that we have to explain to people is the light is not a weapon. All right, first and foremost, it is not. It's a way to positively identify before engaging threats. Now, yes, can the light be used as a force multiplier to distract? There's a million techniques out there that you can use the light to either distract or impact with, depending on the conditions that you're involved in. But the main purpose of that light is identification.
Okay. And then you kind of talked about it. You offer vehicle classes, and then talking about low light there. And we talked about before the show there, if you Google Sentinel Concepts on YouTube, there's like this 30-second video of this drone flying a camera around during, I think it was a the beginning of like a low light vehicle class or a vehicle class, one of those. The footage was beautiful, fantastic. I'm assuming he had a really nice camera on a drone. But talking about, you offer teams and low light stuff. Can you talk about kind of like the team vehicle class, and is that strictly like a law enforcement kind of offering that you do or teach, or is that civilian as well?
It's a law enforcement based class, and we had decided myself and Will had decided at some point that this needs to be opened up, because realistically what you're learning to do is to fight around the vehicle or through the vehicle. And that applies to everybody. We all drive cars every day. We all live in them. We work with them. We are always around either vehicles, buildings, or just our day-to-day walking around environment. And that is a very critical concept for people to get a hold of, is that how to actually work around a vehicle, what actually works on a vehicle, and even from the most simplest task of getting out of vehicle. We opened it up last year. We did an open enrollment class on it on low-light vehicle tactics. It worked out absolutely well. It was very well received. It's not so much a team aspect. We run it as individuals. Then we run it with two people, based either around patrol officers, law enforcement guys, or husband and wives, friends. I mean, like yourself and a lot of everybody else, we have friends that we hang out with that carry guns. And if we're compromised or put in a position where we have to use those guns for a vehicle, I want to know that my friend or my buddies that I am with understand how to operate around a vehicle. I hate that word operate, but how to work around a vehicle. Yeah, I know, it's so silly. But how to work around that vehicle and or vehicles smartly when something bad does happen.
No, because that video made me think of, I think it was just 2 days ago, there was a woman up here in Milwaukee was getting into her car and then just randomly got jumped in her car when she was getting in it, and then thankfully she was a concealed carry person and actually was able to not get hurt and literally almost put the guy down. He's paralyzed. But that's actually a very weak point in a person's like defense, and is when you're either getting in or out of your car, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's the we take for granted. The fighting concept behind that, really the best in the world, that is Douglas South Narc. He had an awesome program actually involved, where it's more of a focus on the ballistic part of the vehicle and actually shooting and engaging through the vehicle and working around the vehicle.
You broke up during that whole part there after I asked.
All right, so which part do I need to go back
on? Everything after I asked.
Great, now I just forgot everything that you said.
I was talking about as getting in, whether you're walking to your vehicle and getting into it or getting out of it, it's a very vulnerable, weak point for a person in regards to self-defense, right?
It is. It absolutely is. It's kind of one of those danger zones, kind of that box of where bad things can happen very rapidly. And the part of the vehicle stuff that we focus on is actually exiting the vehicles and fighting in and out of the vehicle. If you really needed to take a class that was more based on the actual combatives aspect of it, then I recommend Craig Douglas, South Narc. He has probably the best package on, the self-defense, hand-to-hand aspect, and then employing a handgun, which kind of lends itself really well to that initial trapped area that you become in between the car doors and opening the vehicles, where we took a program that was based around law enforcement shootings and kind of adapted it to the average person's life. So if they do pull into that Walmart parking lot or wherever it may be, and somebody starts shooting, or attempted carjacking scenarios, or they just find themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time, learning how to get out of the vehicle, learning how to engage from the vehicle. But the actual combatives part of that, I lend that over to Craig Douglas, who is absolutely the master of it.
Okay. My child is yelling down the stairs right now.
All right.
Child, go away, please. All right. So that's one of my children there for the audience there. Apparently she wanted to say hi. So something we talked about kind of before the class here, and I added in here is we had Tatiana on, and then and she was talking about doing some shoot house stuff, and then you guys just ran some other stuff there. Just ran a shoot house recently. Can you talk about the point of training in a shoot house and what a person can walk away from? Because it's something that I'm obviously really curious in doing, but I guess I really don't know like the expectations of going into a shoot house and what you walk away with from, and what to expect too.
Whew, that's a lot to cover. When you look at it, think about again, like we talked about, environmentally wise, we live in and out of structures, in and out of our vehicles, and those intermediate grounds of getting into both of those. It could be anything from, you come home, doors wide open, at that point, hey, you make a smart decision, back out, call the PD, let them come in and handle it. Maybe it's one of those things where it's, 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear glass breaking, somebody's in the house, the kids are on a different level, you need to fight your way to your children. What we're trying to understand is movement inside a structure and how to do so safely and efficiently, either with yourself, by yourself, or with others. And a lot of the shoot house-based classes are problem solving. They're not shooting. It's geometry, and it's learning to work angles, points of domination, and how to control those spaces. And it really does apply to everybody. It could be as simple as, you're in the mall and unfortunately the next terrorist attack hits, like Mumbai. I mean, anything is possible this day and age, but learning to move in a structure, learning to fight your way through a structure is critical. We're not talking, Ninja Force 5 tactics here. We're talking things based practically towards, two-man patrol units, responding officers to the first call of another one of those catchphrases, active shooter, or a situation you may find yourself in your own home, business, or somewhere that you're out shopping.
Me unmute myself there. So I almost felt like one of those classes, almost like I guess for me it was like, okay, is it a practical class for me? Is just a guy that can't take very much training, and but it sounds like there's actually a lot of important issues going on from taking a shoot house class, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, for those that are watching live on YouTube, we just had a very special guest join the show as well. We have Adam Peeney join the show, VP of Sales from American Defense Manufacturing.
Hello.
And Steve, being new on the show here, and obviously all of the new people that come on the show, we do a segment called Whose Gun Line Is It Anyways? So we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back to a little bit of training here. But Steve, are you ready to do some Whose Gun Line?
I'm on it.
All right. Adam, you want to take that part over, buddy?
I am ready. Steve, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready, brother.
Okay. This is going to be the rapid fire. It's just simply answer yes or no.
No
First
explanations.
question. Yeah, nothing else, just simple yes or no.
Oh, this is dangerous.
All right. 9mm or 45?
40.
Nerd.
Yes.
I specifically didn't even say that because I knew you would say something stupid like that.
9.
Okay. Glock or 1911?
1911.
Okay. Are martinis better than beer?
Yes.
Does Glock make the best handguns?
No.
Are AR-15s better than AKs?
No.
But are shotguns better?
Yes.
Is accuracy more important than speed?
Yes.
Rifle better for home defense than a shotgun?
No.
Is it true that Adam Peeney has the best hair in the industry, and if you answer no, you're just jealous of my hair?
You have hair way better than any Navy SEAL I have ever met.
That's exactly all I wanted to know. I just had to make sure you were honest enough to admit that on air in front of like 5 people who watch the show.
I have pictures of you from the other night when we were at the bar drinking martinis. Don't start.
I wasn't drinking martinis. I was the only one not drinking martinis. So let's not go there because I have those pictures as well, buddy.
Good man.
Okay, now we're going to go into the second part. This is single action.
How about this? No, we're going to audible this since Adam's only been on the show once, and he has never went through this. I'm going to take over, and we're going to change this segment to called Double Tap. So instead of having
this is rigged. We didn't have this planned.
I know. So now I double-crossed both of you. Look at that. So instead of having questions answered yes or no or an answer, you're going to answer these questions with the first answer that pops your head. You're still not allowed to explain, just the first answer that comes to mind. I'm going to go Adam, and then I'll go to Steve, and then the next go-around we'll go Steve, then Adam, and continue like that. So, Adam, what is your favorite handgun?
Anything made by Doug at ATEI.
Steve?
Same exact thing.
Steve, what is your favorite rifle?
It's a tough call. I've got too many. Scar.
Adam?
Scar 17 CQC.
Nice.
Bonus points for being specific.
Wow.
I do love it, and Fisher is extremely jealous of it, so I have to rub that in.
What is your favorite caliber, Adam?
6.5 Creedmoor.
Steve?
308.
All right. Steve, if you had to pick one, would it be a SBR or a suppressed rifle?
Suppressed rifle.
Adam?
I'm gonna go Steve, suppressed rifle.
Okay. Now, for this question, points are rewarded for creativity. So, Adam, if you could build an AR in any caliber other than 5.56, what caliber would it be?
9mm.
Wow, that's negative points. Here's your advantage to make up some points here, Steve.
Have you seen suppressed 9mm subguns? Awesome.
Dude, the 1980s are over. Get with it.
I don't care. It's amazing. And
dude, the SAS wants their gun back. Go away.
What caliber would you do, Steve?
338 Lapua.
Oh, there you go. All right, Steve. What is your most wanted handgun to shoot that you haven't yet?
I've done it all. There isn't one.
There's not one.
No.
No?
I pretty much shot everything that I wanted to shoot that's worth it.
All right.
Probably the new H&K, though. I haven't really had a chance to really ring out the new VP9. I really haven't yet, so.
Okay. Adam?
Any of Fisher's Nighthawks.
Great answer. All right, same question then Adam and then Steve here. What's the most wanted rifle? Machine guns are eligible for this to shoot that you haven't.
I've shot a lot. I'm gonna go real weird and say an Anzio 20mm. That's
nice.
Right.
I mean, you name the machine gun, I've ran it, and I've shot a lot of bolt guns. But I'm in the part where it's like I want to blow stuff up really bad.
Probably a Dillon Arrow. I haven't had a chance to shoot the Dillon machine gun.
Nobody said 14.9 SOP, huh? That wasn't in your wheelhouse there, Adam?
I don't even know what that Gainus is.
We'll talk about it later then. So, Steve, what is a firearms instructor that you look up to?
Oh, Ken Hackathorn.
Adam?
If I said anybody else other than Steve, I'd look like an a-hole right now. So
I know.
You would.
I'm gonna say Trek from MDFI.
There you go. That's a good one.
No, I mean I've been very lucky. So I'm friends with a lot of really good instructors. I'd have to say I'm probably most buddy with Steve. So yeah, it's a toss up between Trek or Steve, but Steve probably edges Trek out. That's my answer.
All right. Well, congratulations. Both of you have finally completed your first Whose Gun Line Is It Anyways. Since both of you couldn't do the full thing, I won't award a winner yet. But I award both of you minimal points, and may God have mercy on your soul. So,
Adam needs all the help he can get.
Oh, wow.
But we were actually talking about it before the show. me and Steve here. And Adam, you were actually just down training with Steve, right? What class did you take?
I got to take Steve's Rifle 1, and I've been shooting for a long time, and I have to say that even the Rifle 1 from Steve was pretty challenging. He makes it really entertaining and fun, and it's a great time. If he's ever in your area, you're really lucky to get a chance to train with him. So it was a long weekend. I was there for like 4 days. Got to take a class with him, one with MDFI, and got to hang out with the Trijicon guys. So all in all, Michigan is awesome, and the people that live there with guns are awesome as well, except for the Brighton cops. Those guys are jerks.
That's another long story.
Yeah. It sounds like that's one for off air.
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously, let's do a little reversal here. So, Steve, when you looked at the thousands of students that you have instructed, if you had to do an after-action report on Adam Peeney, what would your after-action report say?
Nothing. He's perfect.
So sweet. I thought
he was absolutely perfect. He actually listened. He could actually shoot, and he didn't muzzle sweep me, so it was a bonus. It was great.
So if you had to give him a letter grade score, it's an A?
A plus.
Oh, my shit.
A plus. Wow. This is recorded on live, so people can see this. We just want to make sure,
Oh, I know.
Okay. There you go, Adam.
I would tell you if he sucked.
Are you there, Adam?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
I got a Skype call. Sorry about that.
Well, it sounds like you had a great time down there. It sounds like you two had probably a pretty darn good time during the class then, huh?
Yeah.
And did you hear those accolades he was giving you, Adam? That's something that you need to, cut out of this video, and, anytime your phone rings, it just plays that over and over.
Well, it does. It plays that song by Aloe Black, I'm the Man, so it's natural. I wake up in the morning to that stuff, I eat greatness and piss excellence. It's the way that I've learned to live from the people I surround myself around, such as Fisher. So, if you live half-assed, you suck at life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hashtag, what are you for? So, let's go back to a little bit of training here before we got greatly interrupted by our good friend Adam here. So, Adam, you gonna stick around, buddy?
I might hang out for a minute. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do, so I'll probably end up peeling out of here early. But
wow.
I'll hang out for a few minutes.
Like laundry?
Yeah, I spent 4 days in Michigan. I've got stuff I have to do to keep up my life. It's just responsibilities. Who needs those things?
Well, I'm sure I want to go back to the shoot house training here, and Adam, I'm sure you'd probably love to do one of these. So, kind of going back there, Steve, was on a shoot house. So, for me, it sounds like there's actually a lot of application for just regular civilians, regular, maybe a husband and a couple, or a husband and wife, or a couple, whoever to actually take one of these courses. There's actually a lot of valuable information to be taken from that in some sort of home defense type of scenario.
Oh, absolutely. It's the amount of information that gets passed in a really good home defense or shoot house class is amazing. It's literally being fed from a fire hose. And I know people that have come in and taken that class who have literally probably written 20 pages of notes, per day on that class. So it's actually probably outside of getting, in face it, you really have to have a good grasp of fundamentals in firearm safety at this point to work inside a house in that environment around other human beings. But it is probably one of the best classes that people should take outside of the square range world, and to actually see what you've been training or practicing in over the years, and if it is practical. And because not everything we do in the square range or are taught, for the most part in some classes, is applicable to house.
Adam, have you done a shoot house?
I have not. I'm planning on going to at least one this year. This is my year. I actually want to hit a bunch of classes, and being close to guys like Fisher, it's really, really nice. I can drive 5 hours east and be in a really, really good area of training, or tag an extra 3 on and go into Ohio. So I've got a bunch of different classes marked on my schedule. I'm going to sign up for the 1911 class because hopefully my 1911 will be in here sometime the next year. So yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to go on, and the shoot house stuff. The shoot house stuff always intrigues me because I know a lot of guys who've gone through it, and every one of them's like, it literally turns everything you thought about shooting into a soup sandwich, and everything you think is the way it's supposed to be doesn't go that way. And like Steve's told me that he's seen good shooters just instantly crumble when they walk into a room where you're shooting 360.
Well, that is something that actually a quote from Tatiana is, our world is 360 degrees. It's not, 5 to 10 yards downrange. And that's I just love that quote from her. But kind of we talked about her on too is how much thinking and what the thought process that actually goes into a shoot house. Isn't it one of the most demanding aspects of a shoot house training, Steve?
Yeah, it really is. A good friend of mine and buddy, who's one of my partners at Magpul in the training side of the house for the past year that I was there, is just an amazing person at it, and some of the guys that I've trained with. And to be honest, one of the best things he ever told me is that about 90% of the people in the world are too stupid to do CQB. and taking it from that was more along the lines of the ability to process information rapidly and make decisions just as fast is critical. Most people, either their feet overrun their brain or their brain is working a lot slower and they're walking past things that they should be seeing, or they're just kind of nurbling around the house with no real plan. It's because of their inability to process the information that they see. And it's a room. It's a shape. Everything you do can be almost equated to driving when you really think about it once you get inside of a house.
No, I mean, I think that's a great way to put it, of how much quick action or decisions and actions we make while driving. Now, is also kind of a shoot house from a gear aspect. Is that where you really learn what gear works and what gear doesn't in small type of rooms or situations like this? It seems like to me it would be a really good place to know if your gear works or not.
Defining gear and how it works in the house, myself and others that have taught houses, we've had everything from SBRs to subguns to pistols to shotguns. It's irrelevant. All the techniques are pretty much still the same as far as the movement goes and the flow of things. Some guns are just bigger than others that you're using. It's really not that big a deal, to believe it or not.
Okay. Oh, here's another question, too. Actually, I meant to ask at the beginning here, and maybe Peony can share some light on it. So, obviously, when you start off classes, you do the first drill 25 yards cold. Now, don't you also make all of your students run a modified VTAC drill with an M107? Did you have to do that, Peony, at the beginning of your class?
Well, I tried it, and the first one I couldn't even get on paper. So Steve, he put me in the corner, told me I was stupid like 3 times, which honestly I pretty much was. So I mean, it was cool. And then he ran it one-handed, which was pretty impressive, not gonna lie.
The worst part is Jerry Mikulik still beat me, so I have nothing.
What? For those that don't know, if you just, when you're looking, just Google Steve Fisher, and I think it's like one of the top videos on YouTube. If you Google Steve Fisher, is running a modified VTAC drill with for those that aren't familiar, it's a 50 cal Barrett basically. What's the story behind that? Is that something? Was that a bet, or was it just you just showing how awesome you are? Because you ran it pretty darn good. I got to be honest.
We were teaching a class in Texas, and one of the students who's been in the class a couple of times over the years in various locations was there, and he happened to have 2 Barretts with him, one for him, one for his wife, which was really awesome. And he said, "Bet you can't run that drill with it." I said, "Okay, why not?" So we were on a little downtime between breaks and decided to give it a try. And unfortunately, we only had X rounds of ammunition. I think we only had like 6 rounds of ammo for the gun at that point because we'd been blowing things up with it earlier. And yeah, we just threw it up there to do it for fun. And at the time, there was another guy there, Stephen Pinot, and he decided to videotape it. And next thing you know, there it was. So it was all right. It's just a little fun. If you're not having fun at class, man, you're not going to learn. You're just not. You got to have some fun and take some downtime and break the seriousness a little bit. So,
now, when is the dual-wield version of that modified VTAC drill going to come out? I would like to see that. I don't know if you can come out with that on a DVD or something, or.
I'm not going to say that does or does not exist, but there is some video around of me running two Barretts simultaneously.
And also we should talk about, you're not shouldering the firearm either. If I remember right, you didn't shoulder the firearm either, right? Oh, I think he cut out a little bit there.
Awkward silence.
So here's going to be a question, Adam. Who has bigger arms, Mike Lamb from Stoic Ventures or Steve?
You don't even have to finish that, Lamb. Well, I mean, are we talking length or like width? Because Lamb's arms are like your head on his biceps, but he was just like, he could tap you on the shoulder from across the room.
Well, I think Steve has frozen up here, so hopefully he'll rejoin us soon. So, can you talk a little bit more? Huh?
Aren't you glad I hung around?
That's right. So,
Now I am.
Now you're back. Welcome back. So, something that we also have to hit on before we go here, we're gonna start wrapping up the show here. Yeti. Everybody calls you Yeti. That's your nickname. How does one get a nickname of Yeti?
Yep, I'm back.
They want to know how you got your nickname, Steve.
Oh,
I can't hear anything.
No.
Steve, your internet's so booty. It's worse than mine, and I didn't think that was possible.
dude, I can't help it. I'm sorry. It's what happens when they put you in jail, dude. You only get so many times. You know, I've had a million of these nicknames off and on through the years. The most notable on that one who gave me that name was Alan Normandy from Battlecom. Alan coined it.
Because of...
Yeah.
What?
Why did you get the nickname Yeti?
Because he's huge. Why else would he get that name?
Exactly. I'm hairy.
All I know is I've seen an elusive like Yeti jersey that some other famous dude has worn around the industry, and I think if somebody would make them and sell them, you could probably make a little bit of extra coin. I mean, it's a cool shirt.
I could afford a few more Nighthawks if I do that.
Oh man, you could have that LVOA that you really want, and like 37 more Nighthawks.
You got to put that gun in my face, bro. Why?
Dude, have you not seen the pictures I've been putting up of that beast?
Yeah, you've been blowing up my feed for the past hour and a half with it. Thanks.
You want me to text you another one right now? Because I can do that.
No.
Are you talking about the rifle that we were out the range with a couple days ago?
No. I got a War Sport LVOA -S. And I know Steve really wants one, so it's just been fun. Like, it's the only thing I have that like Steve wants. Like, everything Steve has is awesome. Like, he's got like 47 Nighthawks that are all 9mm, all RMR'd. You know, it just there's certain.
Summer 45.
Do you have any 10mm guns?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, I hate your face like more than ever. So it's the only that and my short-barreled Scar are the only things I have on Steve. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll trade you.
I don't have enough of those guns for even one of your guns.
I know.
That's the problem.
Well,
Plus, I'm waiting on mine, and it's weird because like I would take and play with yours, but I really just want mine because I spec'd it out and it's mine. That's it. That's the only reason. It's a very selfish thing.
Well, I'm going to move us on to our next little segment here. Bunch of people are out there watching. Nobody's putting in questions. Apparently, we've answered all their questions.
Tell Sam to answer a question. He's been texting me like a girl.
No one has really put in any questions, but we'll answer a few comments. We have Doug WG says, "Wow, Steve learned how to use Skype."
You know who that is, don't you, Adam?
Yes, I know exactly who that is, and that's awesome. That right there broke the internet. That is all. It blew my mind. You broke the internet Thursday, but that blew my mind.
Then we have user 64ish says he needs some assistance to write a book. I will buy several copies. And then Wolfgang Kaiser says Adam needs to grow a beard.
Nope.
I will +1 that.
Nope. We had discussions about this while I was down there. There's enough people that got him, and plus, if I grew one, it would take away the handsomeness from Steve, and I couldn't do that to him. You know, I do it out of love for him.
Oh, you have such good friends, Steve. And then our last comment is from a Clancy the dog. OMG, I logged in and it killed Yeti's connection.
No, that's just.
I know Clancy.
Oh my God, so good! This is the greatest thing ever. I'm so happy I got a chance to do this.
No, thank you for.
I just want to know if there's any comments from Krista Blade.
Unfortunately, I'm sure she was in a very high-end firearms training and could not make it tonight. I'm sure she would have loved to have been here with you. So I hope that...
I'm not even touching it, Steve. I'm gonna let it lie. I
hope her invitation for a free class still stands. So
if that happens, I'll drive there just so I can witness it.
Oh boy. We did just get in a comment in the Google Q&A app from a person, Sam_RTTS. I have no clue who that is. It says,
I've met that guy once. He is a complete tool bag. I mean, he's a horrible shooter. I'm pretty sure he's illiterate, so I'm actually surprised he could even write in. I mean, we try helping him, but it's just there's some people in this world that we define as mouth breathers, and he would kind of be one of those.
Yes.
He says Adam can't grow a beard.
I mean, I can. I choose not to, and it looks like crap when I do. So I live the life of the non-bearded one, and I'm happy with it. I'm comfortable with who I am. Okay.
All right. Well, let's start wrapping up the show here. So, Steve, what do you got coming up for classes? Where will you be at? What projects are you working on?
The next thing coming up. What do we got? Right now, next set of stuff going on will be in Virginia over at Tango Down, in actually West Virginia. We've got a shotgun class going there, and then in Ohio, back at the Alliance Police Training Facility, which is an awesome place. We'll be doing the 1911 end users class as well as some shotgun there. Next up as well, I'll probably be looking at hopefully again working this year with one of the basically it's the Warrior Event Shoot Group, which is kind of near and dear to my heart. I've got some good friends who are involved in that, and it brings a lot of vets out and gets some injured guys from the current conflicts and gets them back on the range and shooting. And that is a really great program that I'm proud to be a part of and help out with as well.
What was their name again?
Let me know about that Warrior Shoot event, and I'll bring some machine guns down, and I'll bring some stuff with me, and we could have a good time.
Yeah, definitely, bro. I'll definitely hit you up on it.
Trying to get me in, but it's just it's always at the worst times with me. So now that I'm stable and set up, you let me know. I'll bring some PKMs and some belt-fed 50s, and we'll burn stuff down.
I'm there. That's a great time. It's probably one of the best events that I've been to, so it's a really good time.
What? Sorry, can you plug the name? We get this question asked a lot on the show. Is are good charities, because they're kind of there are some charities out there that have a sketchy record when it comes to Second Amendment and firearms. This sounds like a good one, so please plug them away. We get that question all the time of people looking for good charities to donate to.
Mm-hmm. They can be found on Facebook and on the web at Warrior Event Group. No, here. I'm there. Are you there?
Yep. Start over again.
Hello. Mom. It's dark. There you go. No, the one that I highly recommend that I'm proud to be part of is the Warrior Event Shoot Group, and it can be found on Facebook, and all the information is there, and it is a great charity, and it really does do good work and help out a lot for these guys.
Okay. And Mr. Adam Pini, what's going on with American Defense Manufacturing?
Lots of travel. Lots of travel. Probably going to head back to Michigan sometime here in the near future. I'll go to Ohio to take a class again with Steve if I can. Arizona. Ohio for a catalog shoot. I mean, it's so busy. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. You know, I couldn't tell you. It's gonna be crazy. Next like 3-4 months are gonna be living out of a suitcase and just like trying to hold on to the train as it goes off the track.
Well, I'm sure you can text Steve there, and he'll give you company on those cold nights.
Oh yeah, Steve, are you doing that thing next month that we were talking about?
Yeah, I feel so sorry for you having to travel.
Are you doing that thing that we talked about?
Yeah,
next month?
I'll have some dates locked down, and I will let you know here in the next few days.
Okay, because I talked to that guy and he said anytime after the 5th.
Yes, I am.
Thumbs up.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yeah, you're like Megatron going in and out. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Well,
oh my God. I'm calling you that from now on. I'm calling you Megatron.
I'm sorry.
Awesome.
the only Transformer with a beard. But let's wrap it up here, guys.
That'd be great.
Obviously, we're Steve's using up all of the
wanna stay on
internet
longer?
there, so.
Let's stay on
But
longer.
Steve,
Talk about
it was
things.
huh?
Let's talk more
Okay,
things.
what would
We've
you
got
like to
time
talk
see.
about?
Let's talk about Adam.
Please tell us about Adam.
Listen, that's one of my favorite subjects, so please do not get me started. Oh, God.
All right, I'm back.
There's 2 Fishers now.
There's two.
It's amazing.
It's not my fault.
All right, so what did you want to talk about again, Steve? I'm
I just
all
wanted to
in.
talk about you. I miss you already, Adam. I really, truly do.
You know what? I feel the same way. I'm like, yeah, it was good to hang around. It was safe. It was it was great times. And oh my God, I have to say, Fisher took me to the best place I've had food in a long time. The place is fantastic. It's got a downstairs cigar bar, and the food just out of this world. Beef tips were amazing. What was it called? The Downtown Maine or something like that?
Downtown Maine, yeah.
Well,
That place is awesome.
Yeah, if you're ever in Brighton, Michigan, go there. Thank Steve Fisher later, because it's incredible. Like I woke up the next day and I was like, oh my God, I'm so high on just delicious food. I can't handle it. I think I slept until like 10 o'clock because I was so loaded.
On food?
Yes, amongst other things.
Just food. Just strictly food. That's all awesome.
I think Sam's like upset that he didn't get invited into this because he's like crying to me through text messages.
Well, Sam does cry a lot.
That's his problem.
Yeah, I mean, ADM hooked up with Sentinel Dynamics. We gave them a bunch of mounts. I heard the owner of that company loves them more than anything else he's ran in the industry. He's like, he looked at that first mount and was like, wow, this is far superior than anything I've ever seen. And it's more cost effective and it's toolless. Let's take this other X brand mount and throw that away. That's how the owner of Sentinel talks, actually, if you've ever met him. He talks like a used car salesman at the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man emporium.
I try. I really do. You know, honestly, it is actually a good mount. It really is. I like it a lot. I haven't broken yet, so give me a week.
What are you rocking?
In the world, and you know somebody there who might be able to get you more stuff whenever you need. Just saying. Just saying.
What mount are you rocking there, Steve?
I like that. Actually, what it is, I'm running the RMRs from Trigicon on most of my carbines right now, and so I needed a really good, true lower third co-witness mount, and lo and behold, ADM had one.
It's amazing.
And it's absolutely great. It's absolutely great.
And it's even got a sweet Sentinel Concepts logo on it. Oh my God, was it gorgeous!
I know somebody who could do that.
On that
I do too. And he's a good guy.
Well, then
It's been
here's
fun.
while we got you on then, and since you ran a rifle class, you know, this obviously, I'm sure you get this question all the time, and we do as well. How should a person set up their rifle? Steve, from your experiences and your knowledge of setting up a rifle, how should somebody set up a rifle? What mods and accessories should they have on it?
Most importantly, a white light, especially if it's going to be set up as a defensive gun. You can get away with anything with iron sights. Nothing wrong with them. They work, but a white light is probably the most critical thing that I would say that they need to have, and then an optic on top of that. So if I had a choice between one or the other right out of the gate, it would be a white light for the gun, but an optic and a white light, and that's about it.
And I can attest to that because during the class, Steve made some big points that anything we do in the day, we do at night, and we have to be able to see it. And I'm a guy who likes to run my stuff pretty slick, like irons and optic. And he made and the points he made were really, really like applicable to where you walk into a room and you can't see, how are you going to be able to let loose on your gun and smoke the dude that's downstairs? I had never truly thought about it. I run them from time to time, but I always end up ditching them because it just looks like cancer hanging off the side of the gun. So it was, it really, he made me think about it, and I ended up throwing my X300 Ultra back on my gun, which is pretty cool.
Here's something too. Which how many lumens would you recommend on something, Steve?
All of them, every single one you can get. I know
that light was coming. Oh my God!
Nobody ever in their lifetime has ever said I have had too much light on a gun when they have absolutely truly needed it or needed to use it. And the thing that I tell guys most is the light has to be as capable as the gun that it is on. So if I've got a carbine that's capable of engaging people out to 200, 300 plus 400 yards, I want something to give me the maximum effective range of identification as possible. So for me, carbines anywhere from 600 to 1,000 lumens. On my handguns, anywhere from 200 to 500.
Okay. And perfect timing here. So someone just queued in the Google Q&A app here. Speaking of lights, from R. Duras, Steve, do you have a good recommendation for a duty light?
Surefire. Anything from Surefire. Now, define duty light. Are we talking handheld or weapons mounted?
Tell them both.
Both. If I'm looking at a handheld, I want for duty light, I would want a 1,000 lumen Fury. Minimum would be the P2X which would be the 500 lumen light, but the 1,000 lumen light would be my go-to on the carbine and as a handheld. If it was on my pistol, it would be the X300 Ultra, the 500 lumen by Surefire. That's where I would be going at right now. Or even on the carbine, the Scout or the Scout Fury, the 500 or 600 lumen light is another good option with the pressure switch.
Okay. Now we've got a bunch of comments pouring in here, so keep those questions coming, guys. Perfect time to ask a guy who really knows what he's talking about, and then we'll run some by Steve too. So is Doug's comment the reason Steve's internet sucks? That was a question there. I don't know if you offer any clarification on that.
Because I'm at his sister's house.
Who asked that question?
That would be from.
Ooh. Ooh.
That was from
no, wait, no, don't do that. He's got my guns. Don't.
Sorry, bro.
He has my gun.
Sorry.
God, you can't be doing that. He is the greatest thing ever. Don't you ever say anything bad about Doug.
We have a question from Ben Harris. Says, Steve, is the Alliance OPD facility one of your favorites, and why? I'm assuming he meant Alliance Ohio PD facility, one of your favorites, and why?
Absolutely great facility, not only because it's one of the very few law enforcement facilities that will actually have open enrollment classes there. The range fees are incredibly underpriced. It makes it very reasonable to train there for students. It has everything from shoot house to square ranges to an unlimited amount of steel that they've just purchased. The hosts there are absolutely awesome. Joe Wire and Mike Jones have taken great care of us over the years. Chief Griffin over there is an amazing guy. They are, like I said again, one of the few places that really allow open enrollment classes to be there, where you intermix with law enforcement or just average citizens or both in those same classes together. Great facility, great people.
Okay. Then we just had a clarification on that light question from earlier. He was wanting to know a handheld cop light.
Is there a difference between normal handheld lights and handheld cop lights?
Yes.
Yeah.
One you can hit people with. No, it would definitely be.
You know what? I didn't even think about that.
It'd be the P3X. It'd be the 1,000 lumen Fury.
Another question from the Google Q&A app here from Sam_RTTS. Steve, have you had a chance to mess around with a switchback accessory from Therm on a Surefire handheld light? If so, what do you think?
No, I haven't. I know my old partner there at Magpul, Chris Costa, and good friend, uses those and endorses them quite a bit. I go more towards the ring and pocket clip setup from Raven concealment, which I prefer. It's a little bit slicker, a little bit smoother in the pocket. It works better for me. But for other people, I know the other one, the switchback, works really well for, and again, it's a personal choice. It's like anything else in this industry. It may work for me, may not, may work for you. Have at it. Both are good products. It's personal preference.
We have another question from Joe Neuroth, and I can't believe you didn't tell us this before the show. I would have been happy to announce it. Is Steve, when is the wedding? He heard you got engaged.
See, look, even days after, there's still ripples in the world. I will tell you, I won't go into detail, but I will tell you that a few days ago, Mr. Fisher literally broke the internet in half. And I'm not talking like snapped it. I'm talking like power slammed it over his knee. My phone stopped ringing and blowing up for 2 or 3 hours. It was hilarious at the time, but afterwards I was like, what in the heck did we do?
We broke the internet. There was a lot of alcohol involved, and the general manager of the bar is a good friend of mine who wears this really gaudy, god-awful cubic zirconia ring to keep the dogs off of her. And she put her hand in mine, and we took a picture of it and posted it around the internet, and I posted it to her page, and I accidentally made it public. It got yanked after about 2 hours of our phones blowing up. It was just one of those things. And no, Joe, I'll be calling you later. So
it was awesome. I'm sitting there and I'm posting up. I'm like, yeah, it's official. Trek is going to be the priest during the service. I mean, it was awesome. It was so funny. And to see people, they're like, wait, well, where did this come from? I'm so confused. I think like one guy called BS, but everybody else was like, oh, congratulations.
It'll never happen, ever. So, next subject.
I think this question is directed towards me about the box in the back. From Holly Gunner 38, is that an M&P 15 in the background? No, that is from a standard M&P 15. The box. Obviously, the rifle's not in it. Let's see here. Ben Harris, have you got a chance to experience the Shoot House bees yet, Steve?
I'm usually delivering them. A lot of times when we're there, just for clarification, I often AI for EAG Tactical for Pat Rogers, and there's a couple of the guys, John Chapman's one of the other instructors there, and during a lot of the scenarios, we run UTM. So I'm usually one of the OP4 role players, and not only do I get to shoot a lot of people, but I get shot quite a bit. So, yeah. There's something to be said for that, and I'll tell you what, if you haven't had the experience to get in on that, you really should.
And what you're talking about there is like a type of simunition type of shoot house there, or?
Yeah, it uses basically a the UTM round is a kind of a better version of Sims. It better in accuracy and reliability working in the guns, and they hurt. No lies, they hurt. You're going to get welts, you're going to get marks, and the best one that I got this year was from a 5-year-old named Hazel. She lit me up pretty good with a UTM gun. Her dad is one of the SWAT officers down there in Ohio, and it was epic. She got all dressed up and came out and burned me down pretty good, so it was awesome.
I'm assuming she would do better than Adam Peeny then?
Unless it was a sniper rifle.
Do they make those?
Yes.
If not, ADM should get on that.
No, don't you? If I could get UTM stuff, I would have UTM stuff. Like me and a couple other guys from another company that are up here, we were talking about getting sim guns, like, because why wouldn't you want a sim gun? And I'd be like, it's like ultimate like force on force that we could play in like our facility that we have, and one of the guys that we found out in the local PD has the ability to get it. So yes, I am getting sim. Oh yeah, dude, we're talking ultimate like hunting, where it's like you're on 80 acres up in the mountains with sim guns. Let's do this.
I'm in.
That sounds like the best day ever.
I think it would be. I mean, seriously, like you're running around with legit guns that shoot UTM stuff that you can actually figure out. Like if you had the E&E from somebody on a big facility like that, I mean, when you get shot, they hurt. I've never been shot by one. Hopefully, eventually, I will get the chance to either A, shoot somebody or be shot by one, because everybody who's ever taken any kind of force-on-force class, they're like, no, that's the only true way to really know what kind of metal you have is when they're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because we can shoot paper all day long, but until you throw another person who's either A, just as skilled than you, more skilled than you, or even worse than you, you have no idea what they're about to do. I mean, they could stand to the left and burn you down. I mean, you just don't know. And that's like the exciting, fun part that I look forward to.
Steve, could you jump on that? I think what he talked about there was kind of really interesting there, and obviously I would love to do a class like that because I don't know. I think, and maybe you guys can hop on this. Is like you want to be as confident about your abilities. You want to be confident as you can about the firearm that you carry every single day, but you always have that hint of like am I good enough? Can I do it? If the time is called, and is that one of those types of classes that really either puts your training that you've taken or how you can how you think and process information, or basically do you have the guts? Is that all puts it in perspective? Is a class like that?
It really does, and a lot of times if you have to remember, you have to have a very good, well scripted kind of. I guess what I'm looking for is like role playing. You really have it right now that you need to have a good diagram of what is going to occur and what is going to happen. So not only the role to have control and for the safety aspects of it, but what it really does bring home is your ability and your skill sets and you perform. And it's not always just about the shooting.
No, everything broke up for me, so I didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, you broke up there.
Good.
That's why I've changed it to "You Are Now Megatron."
Thank you. I try.
Literally, I've changed your name on my phone. I am never calling you Yeti ever again in my life. You are now just simply Megatron to me.
You have just confused the internet even worse.
It's gonna be great. I don't even care. Don't even care. This is the face of not caring at all. Do you see how sunburned I am from shooting this weekend? I've got raccoon eyes from stunner shades that I wear. It's ridiculous. My face hurts so bad from the awful Michigan sun and being smart. Who wants to wear sunscreen when it's 80 degrees out? Not this guy.
Genius.
I hopped in the car. Dude, I hopped in the car after the MDFI class, and it was like instantaneous. Like my face was like, I was like, oh, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
It's killing me now.
Thanks. You're a great friend. You're welcome, brother. You really are.
We have another comment here in the chat from Jason Potter saying, Steve classes are fun and packed full of excellent content. If you have a chance, get there. So thanks, Jason Potter, for the plug there.
I like Jason. It's good people. His whole family comes out to train there. Oh, just a good time.
Well, guys, do you have any more you would like to cover during the show?
Have either of you checked your phones for a text message I've sent? Just simultaneously, both of you. Just look at it and just smile. Just look at it and smile.
I have 8 text messages.
Oh my God! You sent me a picture of Rob Pincus. So anyway.
Yeah, isn't that great? And that's awesome. I mean, I saw him and I was like, wow, he's doing good for himself. Really, I mean, just
Beautiful. I can't take you anywhere.
I'm assuming that picture came from hanging out with Steve. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Well, I went over to his house and he's like, yo, bro, you want some grilled cheeses? And I was like,
oh, that it's taken so out of context. That is awesome.
well, Steve knows that I love delicious grilled cheese sandwiches.
It's because you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget, Nick's really a Wisconsinite. I'm a transplant.
I'm technically a transplant too, but no, I was before the show. I was telling him about your awesome app that hopefully Steve will get here about how to find women. But I also talk about tailgating and taking you to the Brewers game.
Yeah, dude. I was telling Steve, I was like, Wisconsin people will tailgate everything. Bar mitzvahs, birthdays, funerals, weddings. If it's a gathering of people, they're out front drinking. I bought a shirt that says, my state will outdrink your state, because it is true. It's absolutely true. It's amazing.
Drink Wisconsinbly.
I am so coming to visit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you never know. There might be a Sentinel Concepts Wisconsin class in 2015. Never know.
Definitely.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so anybody in the Wisconsin area, we're gonna try to work it out, and because we got a big facility that we kind of keep for ourselves, and I think 2015 we're gonna try to bring big names like Fisher in, that way, because training in Wisconsin, I mean, there's really not much here. You've got places like Green Bay, you've got Milwaukee, you've got Lib Central being Madison. There are a lot of shooters in this state, but really no place to get trained. So hopefully, if we can start bringing some big names in, people can get a little bit smarter with guns, and the smarter shooters are, the better we are as a community. So
no, yeah. I was actually talking to Steve with that before the show about. It's been very hard to find a very, like a credible, well-known firearms instructor here in Wisconsin. Which, this will bring me to my next thing, and Adam has actually seen this, and obviously there's a wealth of knowledge right now in regards to instruction on firearms, and I think we're in a very lucky time to where we can have so many great people like Steve and Costa, and there's literally hundreds of great firearms instructors out there, but there are bad ones out there, and Adam, the video because I shared it with Steve today. Steve, when you look at firearms instructors, how is it that you evaluate and look at them and be like, okay, this guy's good, this guy's not good, and maybe give some advice to regular people out there that for example, like me in Wisconsin, when I'm looking at, obviously there's not many well-known firearms instructors out there. When I look at, okay, should I get training from this guy or this guy, when you can't really, there's not that, either exposure of them or lots of knowledge out there on them.
I'll tell you right now, in Wisconsin, I know of two really good programs that are there. 1032 Solutions is one of them, and the other one would be Sully. Puts on a couple of really good programs. Those would be the two that I would really look for. Those two, your hometown, the gate, are really good dudes. Realistically, what we're seeing in the industry is a bunch of mimic instructors. You're seeing a bunch of guys who take a class, they may take 2 classes, they've never been in a fist fight in their entire, and they start teaching programs and adding their own twist to get people fantasy band camp, and it's wrong. It really, truthfully is. And the old saying goes that we can get somebody killed faster by giving them bad information than anything else. And that's true of a lot of places. And what you are seeing now is a lot of mimic instructors out there that are just terrible. I mean, I see it, I hear it. A lot of us in the industry do. Nothing that any one of us right or holds all the keys to them on this. But there are definitely places and people out there to avoid, and the best way to do it is look at the after actions, read up, ask about them, and if all they say is, well, I had a great time, well, that's awesome. What'd you learn? Well, I had a great time. Well, that's great, but what did you learn? What did you walk away with? and what was practical about it to your applications.
Yeah, because when I see a quote unquote training company that will drive a vehicle in front of a firing line blaring AC/DC, it really makes me
And
question.
they still haven't given those music credits. Why is that not shut down? I'm going to the head of YouTube and finding that out.
Well, here's the thing: is it probably popped up, and all you have to do is click OK, and then the advertisements, you don't get any from it. But the video I'm talking about there is, and I think you hit it right on there. Is you take a person that has maybe taken one class, maybe this is their first class, and you just throw them into something like that. You're asking for trouble, and people could seriously get hurt, or they walk away thinking that is how you do something, and then they get put into that situation in real life, and things do not go that way.
The internet has probably been the worst thing in the world for the training industry, as well as the best thing. Unfortunately, I think it gives everybody a voice. It gives everybody this theory or their personal opinions of it, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to that. But when people go and seek out training on the internet, such as YouTube videos, it's like, wow, that looks really awesome. I should do some of that. Okay, show up and do that stuff in the class, dude, and watch how fast they put you back in your car and get you off the range.
Now,
there is seriously stupidness.
Steve, would you say there's mimic instructors like shooting bullseye targets?
No, not necessarily. But, shooting bullseyes is a standard across the industry, especially in beginning level classes. I mean, there's a baseline to them in every single class, and you've got to have that. There are some guys out there that do that. They'll go to every class, which a lot of people do. A lot of us have. We get information from others. We put it into practical acts that we need and people need. And there's some out there that do some really stupid things that just don't have any idea of why.
We're going to pop back to a couple of questions here because we got some fantastic comments and questions. From Doug WG, Steve's internet equals 2 cups and a string.
I told you, I love every person I've ever met from Michigan. They are amazing people and always make me laugh. Oh my
God. And then another sentiment here from Harley Gunner 38.
I'm sorry that I live in the middle.
I'm texting him right now. I love you so much. You have no idea.
Then we have another comment from Harley Gunner. Looks like he's another Southern Wisconsinite like myself, saying, please come to Southern Wisconsin. We have 0 places to train. And then we have a question from Jim Jones. How is Adam liking his MK18 Mod 1 clone?
I am a huge clone junkie. I've had Mark 18 Mod 1s, Mod 0s, Mark 13s, Mark 12s. For military, it's a modern military thing. It's probably my favorite that they've ever built. I just like SBRs, and it's a cool rifle. It's the most advanced SBR that the current military has, and it's been deployed a lot, and it's a great rifle. So it tickles my fancy, and that's all that matters.
Well, here's a comment, and there might be maybe a clarification here for you, Steve, from Ben Harris. So he said he got some great instruction from Steve a few years back during a handgun class held by Joe, I'm going to say his last name wrong, Wire. Is that correct? Weir? Most memorable part was Steve dropping a student's brand new M&P on the concrete in Alliance and saying, balls. Epic.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know how many times this past weekend Steve would just walk by and knock my rifle over on the ground. He must have done it 6 times. He'd just walk over and just kick it or move the back of his truck so it fell on the ground. And he was just like, yeah, that happened. And just keep walking. I was like, jerk.
Nobody told you to rest it on the liftgate of my truck.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought I was cool to just stage out of the back of your truck where you were going to teach a class. I mean, that was
I
totally.
don't like you.
It was convenient for me, not you. I knew that. But.
Oh my goodness. Let's see if we have any more comments here. None as of new ones. No new ones as of yet. So if you guys got any more questions, man, get them in. Obviously, Steve just has a wealth of knowledge, and sounds like many very enlightening education.
This is terrible.
To share with us. I'm gonna have to do so much editing on the podcast, but it's absolutely all worth it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We could swear here, but we can't swear on the podcast.
I never said you could swear here. Here's a great question. What are some good targets to train with? From Joe Naroth.
Well, since Fisher can't talk, the MDFI shoot targets are pretty sweet. They're very focused more towards accuracy, which Steve gave us a kind of rundown on that, which was pretty cool. It was a target he designed. For like complexity and long range and stuff like that, the M3 targets are pretty good. But for carbine and handgun, I really liked the MDFI target. I thought that was pretty kick-ass.
And Steve back? He looks angry. He looks angry right now, doesn't he?
Yeah, so mad. So mad.
Can you hear us? This might be that point in time to say bad things about him, Adam.
Never. You can't say anything. You can't say anything. Oh, there's another Steve Fisher that just joined. Round 2.
I think I'm back.
Dude, I am so happy there's somebody else in this world that has internet worse than me. Oh my god. It makes me feel so good. Makes me feel so
good. It is so horrible. This is why I live in the sticks, because I don't have to deal with people, but unfortunately the internet sucks.
I was just plugging your MDFI targets, by the way, and how awesome they are for carbine and handgun.
You know what? That was a great target that myself and one of my other staff instructors at the time at MDFI had developed, and it was absolutely a great target. And actually, Dr. Gary Roberts, one of the leading forensics guys, says it's absolutely one of the best training targets he has ever used. For training targets, other than those, I go to the ID target systems. Those are a great target for realism, full 3D effects, so you actually get the angles and body projectiles. And whatever. Yeah, that thing is weird. It will creep you out. The first time you see that thing and look at it, it is scary.
I will actually comment on that because I'm doing a couple videos on those targets, and the one, and this was so weird, is I did not expect this, especially from those that are in the firearms industry, and you would expect that would, want ways to, take their training to the next level, or try to, get the most realistic training that they can, even if they're at a square range. Was a lot of people said it was too creepy or it was too real. And I was astounded by that because that is the point. If there is a scenario, heaven forbid, that you do have to use your firearm, it's not a paper target. It's not a good-looking target. It's not, and that's what I was really thrown about with her targets, because I think they're awesome. Because the first time you pull up on one of those targets, it adds that realism effect. It really does. When you see a shadow and a face, I thought they're absolutely fantastic targets, but I was amazed that people were like, "Oh, it's too realistic." Well, isn't that good? Maybe you can hit on that, Steve. Is there such thing as a too good of training or targets?
No, not at all. Any amount of realism that you can add outside of shooting actual live human beings, either in UTM or with live ammunition, is a good benefit. The problem with shooting in the square range and square range targets is that they are a two-dimensional, splayed-out area that gives you no angles. They don't give you the surface area or the actual realistic zones for aiming, and all they're basically doing is they are a static range target. And the more realism you can add by using those targets, anything three-dimensional, to give you angles and actual true body shapes, is the best thing that you can have.
Can I make one statement about them real quick? The creepiest thing that I've ever seen, and it still haunts my dreams, is the picture of Paul Gardner with the overlay on his face. And Paul's a mutual friend of me and Steve's, and I saw it, and it to this day, like if I close my eyes and think about him, that's all I can see, and it freaks me out.
It's haunting.
Oh my God, it is terrifying beyond belief. Because it fits perfectly on him, and his beard like mixes in, and it's just like, no thanks, I want nothing to do with this.
Twins. It is scary.
No, I absolutely love those targets. I'm hoping to incorporate them in some of some shoots that we do this in my little league that we do. But we got a couple more questions coming in here from Resk477. Are CZ blasters the wave of the quote unquote future?
Yeah, 1975.
No, you are so wrong. Be quiet. Go back to Wisconsin. Look.
There's a grown man talking. You will hush. You will hush.
You are quiet. Men are talking here, child. No, you know what? The CZs have been around for a long time. They're a great gun. They're incredibly well built. The P09 is currently my favorite bandwagon double-action gun to get on board with. Recently, I've heard a lot about them. I had shot some in the past, and I had a recent Mike Pannone class to actually play with mics and shoot it, and I was absolutely amazed. Oh, look, dude, you showed up.
We have a very special guest joining us.
Okay.
Who will actually be on the show this coming Wednesday.
Wait,
A few days from now, we have Mike Lamb from Stoic Ventures.
This party just got started, son.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Well, there you have it. And it's already started.
It has. Mikey, hey, bro, congratulations, dude.
Thanks, man. How you been?
It was a good time, man. It looked awesome. I'm glad. It was a good thing for you.
It was fun. I mean, it wasn't as fun as your coming out party, but it was still pretty goddamn fun.
Dude, that night in that room in Texas was the best slumber pickle fight I've ever had with another dude. And I'm glad it was you, brother.
Me too, man. Me too.
Here's the problem. When me and Mike are together, it's like Oprah meets Dr. Phil meets the Simpsons.
That's pretty accurate.
It is. How did this happen? We're all going to jail.
It's just it's God's will, dude. Fucking. Am I allowed to swear? I'm sorry. I'm kind of messing this up.
You already did now, so.
Yeah. Sorry.
And you
sorry,
know what? It's not your show. This is Steve's episode, so you can do what you want. You should ruin his show and save all the good stuff for you.
All right, I'll let you guys get back to it, because now that Steve's mind is focused and he doesn't have ADD, it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah. Dude, I just washed down some Xanax with some bourbon. I am totally good.
It's so disruptive.
Dude, you're the most adaptive person I know.
All right. Well, hey, I will catch up with you guys soon, bro. Give me a shout. Give me a shout tomorrow. We'll catch up, and you guys have fun.
Yeah,
we'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, sounds good.
Take care, Mike.
See ya.
We're like doing Ghosts of Christmas Past, Ghosts of Christmas Present. Now we just need like the future one, and we'll just have this show booked out for you, huh?
Man, absolutely awesome. Let me tell you what. If you guys are ever given the opportunity, get with Mike over there at Stoic Ventures. He's an awesome dude. He's a great friend. Has such a ton of experience, and he's just a madman. You will absolutely have a great time training with Mike. And he says, okay.
Be honest. Is there anyone's like neck he could not snap with those arms?
Oh my God. I'm trying to think. No, not at all. No.
Just massive.
Yeah, he skips legs every day and just goes right to arms.
Are his arms like bigger than his waist?
Oh, they're the size of my chest. His arms are massive. I have an absolute man crush on him. If he didn't get his current situation, I would be all over him. No doubt about it. I mean, Mike is just that hot. He really is. He is,
Well,
you know what, honestly, he's a great dude and a great friend, man. And I look forward to any chance we get together to kill a bunch of stuff or get a plate of dead red meat in front of us. Great guy.
well, if you're not, if you're available and around on Wednesday, maybe you should pop in and because we're gonna have to
Oh,
put Mike through the Who's Gunline segment. So I might need a guest host for that segment.
I might do that. That'd be great.
I'll even let you make up the questions.
Oh, yeah. We got that one handled right now. Oh, yeah.
I also noticed that that since Adam has found out that Mike is now fully taken, he's left his computer. So we can only read into that so much here.
He's crying. He's crying somewhere.
But we just had a really good question here from user64 submitted a question here for Steve. What is one eye-opening moment from a class from a class you personally had that you can share?
Hmm.
I'm assuming good too.
Wow. Man, there have been so many over the years, and they're usually some little piece of the puzzle that you've never been able to quite connect or correlate to something, and it just all of a sudden it just pops up out of nowhere, and it's usually those light bulb moments, and it's really hard to actually say what that would be because there's been so many. There is no one absolute one, to be honest.
Okay. Here's kind of a question too that going through your time at Magpul Dynamics, obviously, some that and every firearms instructor that we've had on the show has talked about this too. Is we don't just teach; we also want to learn while we're doing everything. How much I don't know if you want to call it R&D, but how much work or did you guys just ever get together and go to range all right, let's test everything we know, or here's what we think about this. Can we find a better way to do it, or because I remember back in the day of Magpul Dynamics. I mean, that was you watch the DVD. Well, you're a certified firearms instructor. But did you guys kind of go through any learning experience or go out to the range together? How did you guys kind of develop? Did you guys developed new stuff while you guys were working on all this stuff, right?
I came on board pretty much at about the height of everything that was really going on there with the curriculum. And at that point, it was more or less I was coming in and teaching the current curriculum. There were some changes, tweaks that would get added in as myself and Chris would, teach a class. We would see kind of something that mechanics-wise may help another shooter or something a little bit different than just ourselves, because what worked for him may not work for me, may not work for Adam or you or somebody else. So there was always some kind of research going on or practicality and looking at things and developing changes to the curriculum. With any good program, it always grows because no class is going to be the same. No class, no matter what you have down on paper or in your head as that curriculum, it changes based on the students. So there's always an adaptation that comes about. But yeah, there was times we would do instructor development training and get out on the range and look at some of the material. There was a lot of good stuff there. There really was, and there's a lot of stuff that, hey, you don't necessarily agree with, and that's great. And I'm the same way. There was stuff in the original program that I felt was, okay. There was other things that I felt were more pertinent that we should work on. But like anything else, overall, there was a lot of good stuff there, and those videos brought training back mainstream, I think, to a lot of people.
No, I would agree. I would absolutely agree with that. And now I forgot what I was going to ask you, but there was something important there, and I completely forgot. And we got Adam Peeney dry firing here in the corner. So
Yeah. I'm going to start shooting live rounds just to one up him.
I've got 2 mags loaded with gold dots. Don't make me go nuts.
those are 147 grain gold dots too, aren't they?
Now they're 124 plus Ps.
Oh.
And you forget I can do it quietly too. So Steve doesn't have that ability. Nerd.
By the way, I like how my picture of you, Adam, got reposted by Everyday Endo, and they called my picture of you creepy.
Because I'm a naturally creepy.
No, like apparently the joke of me taking a picture of you and saying who's this guy was like that joke apparently didn't catch on to people because
I'm a naturally attractive human being. So when there's like skeevy pictures out in the world, I mean, who wouldn't want to take a picture of this guy in this shirt? I mean, well, I'm sure there's guys right now screen capping it like, whoa, yep, like okay.
Yeah, he's getting it.
God, it hurts my head.
I remember my question now. And kind of what you're talking about there is, some things might be better for other people, So I guess is that maybe part of your teaching philosophy of like, for example, like, my rifle's not even set up to do it yet, and hopefully it will be soon. But not a hyperextend arm, but a form out, your arm out, a C clamp. Some people might not like that, or maybe some people are the Magwell type of guys. If somebody comes out and is like the Magwell kind of guy, but you're saying the C clamp is better. Do you kind of just let them run the Magwell, or if they can't do it as well and they're trying but are fumbling with it, just can't get it, you just say go back, even though in my opinion it's not as good. How do you approach that type of stuff there?
Here's what I look at it is. A lot of it is based on the gun, the configuration of the gun and the shooter. What I would look for is how to overall increase the mechanics of what they're doing and give them better leverage and control over the gun. I'm not strictly a C-clamp shooter. I never have been. It was strictly one way of doing it. I float the grip consistently up and down on my rail. It's a matter of what I need it for, and if I'm employing from a kneeling position or a supported kneeling position or sling assist, my grip changes constantly on the the video that was out years back of me explaining C-grip, the C-clamp grip on a gun, was nothing more than an explanation of basically how it's being done and why people are looking at it certain ways. And honestly, it's nothing new. It was around for years. I mean, there's pictures dating back to the 50s that you can find guys doing that. It's nothing new. It's been popular in the competition circuits for years. And it's just another way of holding onto the gun and driving the gun. It's between open, vast spanses. The main thing is finding a position that you're comfortable, that you can hold the gun well and control the gun well during recoil, and mitigate that recoil. Yep, it's a 5.56 or a 308 gun, but you still need to understand that there are ways to stabilize that gun and drive that gun left to right, right to left, up and down without any mechanical oversway, which you will get from the old days of Magwell holding the gun. And there's a lot of videos out about that have been posted up on YouTube by some really good shooters that explain it in depth and on the time. And I tell guys, go out and try it. Just because your gun isn't set up to do a quote-unquote C-clamp grip, because you may have a shorter rail or it's an SBR gun, there are ways around it and ways of floating the grip on the handguard to allow you to still maximally effectively control the recoil and mitigate it as best as possible. And that's why you come to classes, to learn these things. And if you come into class with a closed mind about it, you're not going to learn. You're just coming in to shoot. And this is why you pay good money to come to an instructor to teach you different ways of doing things, and if they're applicable to you. And if they're not, throw them away and don't use them. But at least give it a fair shake. I don't care if you come into a class or you're a Weaver shooter, isosceles, C-clamp, high-power shooter. I will show you ways to hopefully maximize what you do with a gun. And the current way to do it.
We have another question here from user 64ish. Steve, what was your impression of the Sully stock after running it?
I like the Sully stock. Greg Sullivan had a really good short stock. It was basically a A1, A2 style full stock that was shortened to be basically the full collapsed in position of an M4. A lot of guys liked them running heavy kit, heavy raid armor. I liked them. It shortened up the overall length of the gun quite a bit. And it was a very, very solid stock. Personally, over the years, I've gone back and forth between stock collapse and stock fully extended. And I've pretty much stayed to a stock fully extended out for better recoil control and mechanics of the shooting. It just works out better for me having a longer stock, and that applies to a lot of shooters.
Okay. Now, do you also do some competition shooting locally and stuff, or?
For years I shot a lot in the two-gun circuit. There's a local crew here in Michigan that shoots two-gun, carbine and handgun. It's ACTS, ACTSshooters.com, and it's a great group of guys. We started up back in about 2005, 2006, I believe. Really good competition, a lot of fun, a lot of great dudes there, and just some great people. Did a little bit of three-gun. I grew up shooting competitively in trap and skeet. That's where my big background came from with the shotgun and hunting. But yeah, competition is good. Shot some IDPA, shot a little USPSA on local levels. Competition's great. It really is.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna need your help then, because I'm starting to build up. I shoot in a local. They just call it an AR league. It's a very entry level, AR league. For me, where I'm at, I think it's really great. And they have the same thing with a handgun. And so I'm starting to customize my rifle, but I've realized I just need to make another rifle. So here's what I'm looking at for currently, probably for a setup right now. I will probably be doing. I know it's not the most lightweight, but I like it, is the STR stock. And then probably basically your standard upper and lower, nothing too fancy. Obviously a nickel boron, probably BCG, but I'll probably go with like an 18-inch barrel. I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. For a type of three-gun-ish rifle. 18-inch barrel, do you think?
Personal preference, I go for a 16-inch barrel gun. There's nothing I can't do with a 16-inch barrel. They are that an 18-inch won't do, unless the contour and the profile is a little bit differently. For running gun stuff, I would prefer to have a 16-inch barrel. That's just personal preference. STR is a great stock. It's a tank. It's got a great cheek weld. It is a really good stock.
Okay. Do you have any lighter weight recommendations at all?
If you're going to go lighter weight on the stock, honestly, I prefer the CTR. I still think it's one of the best stocks around. It's very slimline. It allows you to get the gun more center line into the body. It works great with a gas mask. It works great with armor. I think, and that primarily is a stock that's on every one of my ARs, is that CTR. It's still, to me, the best stock going.
Okay. And here's a question, too, because a lot of people have been really raving about it and switching to it. Have you tried the B5 systems at all?
Yeah. The B5 stock. It's a good stock. Seen a couple in classes, seen a bunch of guys with them. I've played with them. I've shot them. It's a stock. It worked. It's a good cheek weld to it. It's kind of reminiscent of the LMT SOT-mod stock to a degree. It's filterable. Just for me, my guns that I do run magnified optics on, I pretty much don't feel the need that I have to have a cheek weld, or as for red dot sighted guns, I should say. Magnified optic guns, I either run, either a Magpul rifle length stock or the ACS or the STR stocks. It's all personal preference and feel. It's a good stock. It works. Nothing wrong with it all.
Okay. So for optics here, I'm looking at obviously doing an ADM recon mount probably. I'm looking at like the Bushnell, like their 1-4, their PCL with a throwdown lever. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Yes.
And then with an offset like red dot sight. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that would be this: depending on the ranges and what you're doing with the gun, my recommendation, I'm going to be a little biased here, and I'll be honest about it. I'm a paid consultant for Trijicon. I've used their optics for years, ever before coming on board with them in an official capacity. I love the TR24 as an optic. They're 1-4. I think it's a great optic. I've ran it a lot in matches and competition. And then with an offset RMR or red dot, whatever you choose, I prefer obviously the RMR for that. It's a great combination. If you're really looking for something that you're going to be stretching the legs on the gun quite a bit, or you're shooting some different events, it may take you out to 600 yards. Trigicon's VCOG is a great piece of glass for the money. Absolutely super bright. It's got great reticles. It's a hard optic to beat. The only other optic that I would consider in that same league that I would run would be the Vortex with the JM reticle. Another great scope.
Okay. Here's a great segue here to something you just talked about from Colt 45 Irish. How's the RMR working on the Nighthawk, Steve?
Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely.
Here's another question from Ben Harris. Steve, thoughts on pistol reloads in, quote, up in the workspace, unquote, versus at high compressed ready position and their applications in a low light situation? Loaded question.
Tough one. Here's the end result answer. Get the gun into a spot where you have a good index against your body or your armor or whatever kit it is you're wearing. Get the magazine in the gun as quickly as possible. I don't care how you do it. The bottom line is get the mag in the gun. If you're comfortable in one position and it works, great. If it works better for you in another, so be it. But I prefer to bring the gun back as tight to the body as possible. I get it in that quote-unquote workspace. I have a frame of reference or index when my arm comes back, and I load the gun.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to hit the 2-hour mark here. I'm going to wrap it up here.
Oh, what?
Huh?
No. So what?
I do, unfortunately, have other things to attend to this evening. So I do have to call it here. But we're going to wrap it up here. And, again, Steve, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute blast. You were an absolute pleasure to meet here. And I would definitely love to get you back on the show sometime, get you on with some other crazy gun guys that I know.
Oh, let's do it, man. I'm all about it.
Especially like this guy, Mr. Adam Peeney from American Defense Manufacturing that joined us.
He's probably asleep right now. It's past his bedtime.
Oh, hush up. There's grown folks talking. You don't need to be here.
I'm sorry, Cupcake. You know what? I just realized something. If you grow
hold on. There's only one person that has that nickname. Don't you dare call me that nickname.
I was just going to say, if you grew a beard, it'd almost be like an albino.
That's quite hurtful. That is very hurtful and unappreciated. But you know what? I may have to grow one, and then people are gonna be like, "Wow, is that a fat Yeti?"
Oh, now I'm fat again. Great. Now I'm fat.
No, I'm talking about me because once you get the beard, you're instantly like the best at everything. That's what I've been told by every person with a beard. So that's what I'm assuming is true.
It is absolutely.
That's the only reason I'm growing one is to be a better shooter.
You've been working on it for 5 years. It's not helping. You look like Gary from Team America. Stop it.
Gary!
Actually, No Shave November is like 4 months away, so I have to start now. Because it takes forever for me to just grow.
If you need an excuse, you're wrong.
That's
awesome.
Thank you guys for coming on to our show this week.
I appreciate it.
So at here at Practically Tactical, we really want your feedback. Please send any compliments, feedback, guest suggestions to nick@firearmsradio.tv. Please give us a review on iTunes. Steve, tell them to give us a review on iTunes.
Give us a review on iTunes or else.
Exactly. And also find us on Facebook by searching Practically Tactical, or visit facebook.com/practicallytactical. As also, while you're on Facebook, go find American Defense Manufacturing. Go find Sentinel Concepts. Give them a like as well. Follow up. They post good stuff on there. So as always, guys, Steve, thank you for coming on. Adam, thank you for coming on and guest hosting for me for that very important segment that we covered there. Covered a lot of really good, hard-hitting information there.
Yeah, I could be an in-depth, it's somebody who can really get to the bottom of a story, but still do it in a fun light. I'm just saying, I can make that happen quite possibly every time. And it's only when you have good reviewing material, such as Steve, it really makes my job a blessing. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not getting a Nighthawk, Adam, so stop it.
Oh, dude, how do you know I didn't sneak into your crib and already take them? Have you counted them lately?
No, I better go check my safe.
Exactly.
And of course, we need to thank Mike Lamb for popping in real quick. And again, guys, if you watch on YouTube, he will be on the show Wednesday at, I believe we're doing a 6:30 start time with Mike Lamb, and then we may have a guest host appearance during Who's Gun Lines and His Ways that night as well. So, always, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week and 2 days from now for another episode of Practically Tactical. Take care.